Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Shri Varadari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Shri Varadari Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Munatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Shri Varadari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Shri Varadari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Murtira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Giridhare Radha Giridhare Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhare Radha Giridhare Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhare Radha Giridhare Shri Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Shlotra Language Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhupada Vishnupada Paramahamsa Shishma Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Anandapati Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Shri Radha Giridhari Ki Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo, all glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna, all glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna, all glories to some devotees, Hare Krishna, all glories, let's speak to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Padaya Bhutale, Srimati Shivaram Swami Nam, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Padaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nam. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharani, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtakade. So we're going to continue reading from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Okay. Hare Krishna, thank you. The rain mashing down. It's very atmospheric here in New Bashana this morning. Hare Krishna. The people were now faithless, said Bhaktisiddhanta, and therefore they no longer believed that devotional service could remove all anomalies, even on the political scene. He went on to criticize anyone who was ignorant of the soul and yet claimed to be a leader. He even cited names of contemporary leaders and pointed out their failures. And he emphasized the urgent need to render the highest good to humanity by educating people about the eternal soul and the soul's relation to Krishna and devotional service. Abai had never forgotten the worship of Lord Krishna or his teachings in Bhagavad Gita. And his family had always worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose mission Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was exposing. As these Gaudiya Mat people worshipped Krishna, he had also worshipped Krishna throughout his life and had never forgotten Krishna. But now he was astounded to hear the Vaishnava philosophy presented so masterfully. Despite his involvement in college, marriage, the national movement, and other affairs, he had never forgotten Krishna. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was now stirring up within him his original Krishna consciousness. And by the words of this spiritual master, not only was he remembering Krishna, but he felt his Krishna consciousness being enhanced 1,000 times. I'm wondering if someone could get me a glass of water. I'm sort of struggling a little bit with the throat, unfortunately. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Put my water bottle. But he felt his Krishna consciousness being enhanced 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. What had been unspoken in Abai's boyhood, what had been vague in Jagannath Puri, what had been distracted from at college, what he had been protected in by his father, was now, what he had been protected in by his father, now surged, thank you very much, now surged forth within Abai in responsive feelings, and he wanted to keep it. He felt himself defeated, but he liked it. He suddenly realized that he had never before been defeated, but this defeat was not a loss, it was an immense gain. Srila Prabhupada, he's speaking now, this is a quote. I was from a Vaishnava family, so I could appreciate what he was preaching. Of course, he was speaking to everyone, but he found something in me.
and I was convinced about his argument and mode of presentation. I was so much struck with wonder. I could understand, here is the proper person who can give a real religious idea. End of quote. It was late. Abai and Naren had been talking with him for more than 2 hours. One of the brahmacharis gave them each a bit of prasadam in their open palms, and they rose gratefully and took their leave. They walked down the stairs and onto the street. The night was dark. Here and there, a light was burning, and there were some open shops. Abai pondered in great satisfaction what he had just heard. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's explanation of the independence movement as a temporary, incomplete cause had made a deep impression on him. He felt himself less a nationalist and more a follower of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He also thought that it would have been better if he were not married. This great personality was asking him to preach. He could have immediately joined, but he was married and had to leave his family. And to leave his family would be an injustice. Walking away from the ashram, Naren turned to his friend. So, Abai, what was your impression? What do you think of him? He's wonderful, replied Abai. The message of Lord Chaitanya is in the hands of a very expert person. Srila Prabhupada, quote, I accepted him as my spiritual master immediately. Not officially, but in my heart. I was thinking that I had met a very nice, saintly person. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Mahasaya ki. Nectar. Just speak on this. This is full of nectar, isn't it? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur cutting through all of the external political quagmire and getting to the essence of the problems of life. Lack of knowledge of the soul, lack of knowledge of Krishna, lack of engagement in bhakti. No solution on the political platform. Getting overly absorbed in politics and who's controlling who in society and who the real power is all a waste of mind. It's a waste of time of the mind. The human spirit is wasted in all these temporary external things which have got nothing to do with bhakti, which have got nothing to do with the soul, which have got nothing to do with our eternal relationship with Krishna. And ultimately, because they have nothing to do with any of those things at all, they are not connected in any way to the soul, to bhakti, or to Krishna, then to waste our time in it is just that. It's just a waste of time. But it's going on because it's so... Srinivasacharya gives a commentary and translation to the seed verses of Bhagavatam. Second seed verse, there's a line in there. He says, trying to make meaning in matter. No, trying to find truth in matter. It says that we're looking for truth. We're looking for Krishna always in everything, at all times, because we are Nitya Krishna Das. It's natural. Not knowing Krishna, not knowing our eternal relationship with Krishna, then we try to make truth in matter. No, the only truth of matter is that it's Krishna's energy, and it is to be engaged in Krishna's service. But to waste our time in it all, it's a thing at the moment. It's relevant now just as it was then. But what's the relevant thing that I'm seeing at the moment anyways? The vote is getting into who's really in control. You've got the government, and then you've got the next level, the real controllers, the real powerful people. And that may be. And, but it's this, tendency to make truth in matter. So anything's more important than thinking about Krishna. I'll think of any other thing. I'll let my attraction go to any other thing. I'll let my mind be enthralled by any other mystery of the world. What's wrong with Krishna Lila? Why not absorb our mind in Krishna? Why not spend our time to think of what's Krishna doing now? Why does Giridhari look like that today? Why has he got slightly tinted brown hair? Why is Srimati Radharani displaying such an enchanting, beautiful expression? Why not let our minds go there? Why not let our mind think about Krishna? But rather, or why not put our mind on how we're going to chant more attentively? How are we going to be of more service to our spiritual master? Is what I'm thinking now pleasing my Guru? Is what I'm doing with my body now pleasing my Guru? Is my motive in my actions, in my life, pleasing to my Guru? Put our mind there, rather than trying to make meaning in a world which is constantly changing and is designed to bewilder and delude us. So, yeah, this is sadhana, morning sadhana. Okay, what am I going to do today with my consciousness? What am I going to do today with my human form of life? So Srila Prabhupada is relishing hearing from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as he, and such a bold preacher, not to be imitated by those that are not qualified to do so. But, you know, we're hearing how he was even naming people and calling out their faults. That's not to be imitated by myself. I mean, as soon as I see a fault in another person, I know I'm seeing it because I've got it. Why am I seeing it? I'm seeing it because I've got it. And as soon as I start speaking about that person's fault, guaranteed my own fault, that very same fault that I have, will come up 3 times the same. So the faults that we see are due to our fault-finding tendency. The Uttama Adhikari is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Nectar instruction. Completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. When you feel yourself, this is my meditation, when I feel myself to be completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others, then maybe I've got something to say about someone else. Until then, I've got something to learn from everyone else. Someone asked my Guru Maharaj a question. Yeah, but sometimes when you see faults in others, isn't it responsibility to correct? My Guru Maharaj answered, well, generally not. Better to work on yourself. These days, anyone's business is everyone's business. Anyone's business is everyone's business. But if you've still got work to do on yourself, this is what I think about myself. If I still got work to do on myself, then I should definitely speak. Because you go like this, right? This is the false ego finger, and then these 3 are pointing back at you. So you're pointing at someone else, but you're either covering those 3 up so you can't see them pointing back at you, or you're seeing it and knowing you're being a hypocrite. They're all pointing back at you. So, yeah, this fault-finding business is not good for bhakti. It takes away taste, it takes away appreciation of Krishna. Because, like Janananda Maharaj said to me the day before yesterday, or whenever he came to the Hare Krishna school, he was talking, one of the students said, oh, what's your favorite creature? He said, a worm. You know, kids in the classroom, they asked, you know, they got onto animals, and then they asked him, what's your favorite animal? And he said, a worm. And they're all a bit like, what? A worm? Why a worm? He said, because a worm is in the ground, it's unseen by others. It's only doing beneficial work. It's just preparing the soil, preparing the soil, preparing the soil, aerating the soil. Even its stool is beneficial for the ground. It's allowing others to grow. It's allowing others to flourish. It's performing, it's creating an environment where others can flourish. So he's expressing his appreciation of the worm. And he said that this is Lord Chaitanya's mood, because the worm, as he said, is even lower than the great blade of grass, because the grass is on the surface, but the worm is below. So Lord Chaitanya says that we should think ourselves as lower than a blade of grass. So there's that creature that's lower because he's under the grass. And then, he said a nice thing, in humility, you're free to think about Krishna. A nice thing. There's freedom there. There's a freedom of consciousness. That's what we want. Kirtanya Sada Hari. Be free to always think about Krishna. But the only way to be Kirtanya Sada means always. Kirtanya Sada Hari. The only way to be always absorbed in Krishna is by being in Trinadapisa Nityena. There's no other way of being always absorbed in Krishna other than that mood. So when we see great acharyas like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur preaching, they're in that mood preaching. That mood is not practiced by them. That mood is not attained by them. They're always there, Nitya Siddha. They're always in Prema Bhakti. They're always in Trinadapisa Nityena. And from there they're speaking. So that's more relevant for me. That's what I can say. Is first of all, let's try and cultivate that. And then that's it. Nothing else. Whatever. And then it's carrying on with what Guru wants. What does Guru want? What's my service? Then service. What is my service? We don't know what our service is. What are we doing? We're doing our own thing. Doing my own thing all the time. But we're trying to come back to this. What's my service? Just do your service. And then if that's your service, then that's these great personalities. They come into this world to do this service, like on Krishna's order, on the order of Krishna's associate. Not to be imitated. The essence of it is to be appreciated and aspired for. But if we get lost in this, or if we get lost in everything outside of Trinadapisa Nityena, then our time is being wasted. And we've got a rare opportunity, so we don't want to waste the time. Okay. That's the class before the class. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll have a reading of Srimad Bhagavatam and carry on. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yenaham Atma Yatanam Vinirmita Datra Yatoyam Gunasaga Sangraha Sa Eva Mam Antum Udayudaha Swarad Upashtitonyam Anyam Upastitonyam. Yeah, anyway, we'll carry on. Sharanam Kam Ashraye Yenaham Atma Yatanam Vinirmita Datrayatoyam Gunasaga Sangraha Sa eva mam hantum Buddha Yuda Swarad Upastitonyam Sharanam Kamashtraye Upastitonyam Sharanam Kamashtraye Yenaham atmayatanam vinirmita tatra yatoyam gunasaga sangraha saeva mamhantam udayuda swarad upastitonyam sharanam kamashraye. Vaishnavas? Oh. Okay, so good. Tatrayatoyam gunasaga sangraha sa eva mamhantam udayuda swarad upasthitonyam sharanam kamashraye. Yenaham atmayatanam vinirmita tatrayatoyam gunasaga sangraha saeva mamhantam udayuda swarad upastitonyam sharanam kamashraye. Yenaham atmayatanam vinirmita tatrayatoyam gunasaga sangraha saeva mamhantam udayuda swarad upastitonyam sharanam kamashraye. Vaishnavis? Ahamatmayatanam vinirmita tatrayatoyam gunasarga sangraha saeva mamhantam udayuda swarad upastitonyam sharanam kamashraye. Please repeat. Yena, by whom? Aham, I. Atma ayatanam, resting place of all living entities. Vinirmita was created. Datra, by the Supreme Lord. Yataha, on account of whom? Ayam, this. Gunas sarga sangraha, combination of different material elements. Saha, he. Eva, certainly. Mam, me. Hantum, to kill. Udayudaha, prepared with weapons. Swarat, completely independent. Upastitaha, now present before me. Anyam, other. Charanam, shelter. Unto whom? Ashraye, I shall resort to. Translation. The planet Earth continued, my dear Lord, you are the complete conductor of the material creation. You have created this cosmic manifestation and the three material qualities. And therefore you have created me, the planet Earth, the resting place of all living entities. Yet you are always fully independent, my Lord. Now that you are present before me and ready to kill me with your weapons, let me know where I should go to take shelter. And tell me, who can give me protection? Purport. The planet Earth herein exhibits the symptoms of full surrender before the Lord. As stated, no one can protect the person whom Krishna is prepared to kill, and no one can kill the person whom Krishna protects. Because the Lord was prepared to kill the planet Earth, there was no one to give protection to her. We are all receiving protection from the Lord, and it is therefore proper that every one of us surrender unto him. In Bhagavad Gita 1866, the Lord instructs, Sarvadhamam parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, my dear Lord, whatever I have, even my mind, the center of all material necessities, namely my home, my body, and whatever I have in connection with this body, I now surrender unto you. You are now completely independent to act however you like. If you like, you can kill me. And if you like, you can save me. In any case, I am your eternal servant, and you have every right to do whatever you like. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dharati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Atapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namanchacharanam Yatam Apidrushtam Dayamaya Oho Gandhavike Haha Munchainam Naiva Tadvisham Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurataje Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so here in Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj is chasing Mother Earth. Very unique situation. Prithu Maharaj is Jiva Shakti, who is a Avesh avatar of Krishna's administrative potency. Krishna possesses Rasha Shakti Vividaiva Shuyate. He possesses unlimited Shaktis, unlimited potencies, which manifest all objects and forms. And Prithu is the empowered incarnation of his ruling potency. And the limit of that ruling potency is being demonstrated here, which is that the earth was withholding her gifts and was not performing her regular service, and Prithu Maharaj, he wanted to reinstigate proper dharma within the universe, within the earth planet. He was within the realm of his responsibility, and he was invested with Krishna's Shakti to be able to do that to such an extent that he could even chastise the earth. So Bhudevi, Bhumi, Prithvi, she is Krishna's Shakti. Shastra explains that Mula Prakriti, Krishna's original Shakti is his internal potency. As Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we understand Srimati Radharani to be Krishna's original potency. Just as Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, the original form of the personality of Godhead, then his Shakti, Srimati Radharani, is the Mula Prakriti, is the root of all of Krishna's Shakti. And Krishna expands into Mathura, Krishna expands into Dwarka as the Chaturvyuha, he expands into Vaikuntha realms as the second, what's called quadruple Chaturvyuha, quadruple expansion. And then he populates all of the Vaikuntha planets. This is all eternal, it's not linear in chronological order, it's simultaneously eternally manifest. And Lakshmi, Sri Lakshmi, is the consort of Narayan. In other Vaishnava groups, then Narayan and Lakshmi are worshipped as the original. But in Gaudiya Vaishnavism and in Bhagavad Dharma, in other forms of Vaishnavism, touched by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's also understood that Radha and Krishna are the original forms of the Lord. Because Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, he manifests all the qualities of the Lord, more than those manifest by Lord Narayan. So therefore he is the original, he is the Adi Purusha, the original personality of Godhead. And his Shakti, Srimati Radhika, is his original Shakti. Bu, Shri, and Nila are the names of forms of Lakshmi, who are the consorts of Narayan. And these are ultimately, in this way, all expansions of Srimati Radhika, Srimati Radharani. And in the material creation, Shakti, Prakriti, is manifested as the reflection of the spiritual reality. It's all manifest by Prakriti. And Durga Devi, consort of Lord Shiva, also expansion of the Lord. Sadashiva is Vishnu Tattva. Manifest material creation. And Bhudevi is Krishna Shakti, here in material creation also. So as with all things, they originate in the eternal transcendental realm in their original form, and they manifest in the material creation. So Bhudevi, she is Shakti of Krishna. So she's under Krishna's control from the perspective of tattva. She's under Krishna's control. And Krishna is here empowering Prithu Maharaj to exhibit the limit of his controlling capacity over his Shakti. He's chasing Mother Earth, controlling Mother Earth. He's even to the extent that he's chasing her with weapons and she's fearful. So this is a demonstration of how the Lord is the possessor of unlimited potency. And she starts off by running. But unlike, you hear other stories of people running away from Krishna in fear in Bhagavatam. You can remember the story of the expansion of Lord Shiva Durvas, who runs away due to being chased by the chakra because he offended Krishna's devotee, Ambarish. So he just kept running and running and running, and he went to different people to try and find shelter. She doesn't run very far because here we're getting, she's responding immediately because she's Krishna Shakti. There's nowhere to go. I am a manifestation. I am you. What's the difference between Krishna and his Shakti? It's put very nicely here by I'm reading from this. This is one of my verse books. It's a good one. It's called Sri Gaudiya Kantahara, a necklace of Vaishnava verse. It's still in print. It's great. It categorizes topics, puts verses into topic. And it also has first of all, there can be a little doubt that I have a great debt of gratitude who first attempted to translate Sri Gaudiya Kantahara from Bengal to English. Yeah, so this is an old verse book, and it was translated from Bengali. I'm trying to see here, I can't remember, but I believe from the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. These verses were all favorites of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada's disciples, translated from Bengali into English. I don't know if it existed in his time in this form or whether his disciples put it together. But it's a nice verse book because it puts things into topic. The chapter 8 is called Shakti Tattva, so it's got lots of shlokas from Shastra on Shakti Tattva. So I'm going to read this one, which explains, because I just made a statement that Krishna's and his energy are not different. So the mind is like, what? We're not impersonalists, we're not Mayavadis, we're not Brahmavadis. So what does that mean? So this is a quote from Adi Leela chapter 4. Chaitanya Charitamrita, the text 96 through 98. Sri Radha is the full energy and Lord Krishna is the possessor of full power. The two are not different, as evidenced by the revealed scriptures. They are indeed the same, just as musk and its scent are inseparable, or as fire and its heat are non-different. Thus Radha and Krishna are one, yet they have taken two forms to enjoy the mellows of pastimes. So the attribute of scent in musk is an inherent attribute of the object musk. You can't separate the scent from musk. There's no such thing as musk with no scent. It's an inherent attribute of the object. You can't separate it from the object. Musk. Musk is comes from I think it comes from a gland. I've never seen the real thing, but it comes from, I believe it comes from the gland of a particular deer in India. And there's a gland somewhere on the body of the deer, and you extract that gland, and that's how you get this musk. But so it's an object, it's a thing, and it has a smell. You can't separate the smell from it. It's non-different from the object, right? You can't say that here's musk, but it has no smell. If someone comes to you and says this is musk, but it doesn't have a smell, it's obviously not musk, right? So it's an inherent attribute of the object. You can't separate it from the object. Yet the object and the attribute of scent are two separate things. It's an inherent attribute, can't be separated from the object. It's called Swarup Lakshana. But you can also say that scent is something separate. When we say it, we say scent. We say musk has scent. We say fire has heat. We say the jiva has consciousness. But these are all inherent attributes of these objects. They're not actually different from the object. So the apparent difference is actually, it doesn't actually exist. There isn't actually a difference. It's only an apparent difference. You follow? So that is called Vishesha. That apparent difference is called Vishesha in our philosophy. It's called Vishesha. So we say Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Because the Mayavadis say, they deny Shakti and Shaktiman. They deny possessor of potency and potency. So they say, no, there's no such distinction between possessor of potency and potency. But we say there is. Because musk has a smell. The musk is over there, but the smell is here. The smell is everywhere. So it has a Shakti. Musk has a scent, but it's also inherent to the object musk. You can't separate them. So therefore, the two are not different, but yet they have Radha Krishna. Why? For enjoying pastimes. This is our Vedanta philosophy, our understanding. So here we're hearing about the interaction between Krishna as Prithu, empowered incarnation of Krishna, and his Shakti, Guru Devi. So she is demonstrating that there's no difference between you and I. I am your Shakti. Everything is you. There is nothing other than you in existence. You are existence. I don't have anywhere to go. Where am I going to go? You're everything. I am your Shakti. I am your energy. Everything is you. There is nothing for me to enter into that is separate from you. There's nowhere to go. There's only you. This is Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sarvahatma Sadurlabha. Vasudeva Sarva Iti. Everything is Vasudeva. I've come to that understanding. It's a gyan, it's knowledge. This gyan is an inherent attribute of bhakti. It is bhakti, to understand that there is nothing but Krishna. I've got nowhere to go. Therefore, what am I going to do? I surrender. Surrender to Krishna. What do you want me to do? So this is where she's come to. Straight away. She ran. I don't know why she ran. Why did she run? I'm going to finish in a minute. We have to go back and look a little bit more into that. Why did she start running in the first place? Why did she even run? She knew that. She didn't run very far. So I'd have to look back and see what the acharyas say also. But off the top of my head, I'd say it's Leela for our benefit, for the sake of highlighting this tattva to us. That's sound thing to say. That's okay. So this is a conclusion. There's nothing other than Krishna. There's nothing other than Krishna's energy. We are Krishna's energy. We can also, as Jiva Shakti, as Jiva, we are energy of Krishna. Therefore, because we're the energy of Krishna, our inherent attribute is that we are the servant of Krishna. We are the servant of Krishna inherently by our swarup, by our swarup lakshana. It's a philosophical term here, not as in the noun describing the spiritual body. It's swarup lakshana is a philosophical concept. It's an abstract noun. It's not referring to an actual body of an entity. It means inherent characteristic or inherent attribute. So with that tattva, with that knowledge, the result is bhakti. I'll surrender. I'll do what you want. Because what else am I going to do anyway? This is just the honesty. So therefore knowledge is truth, and knowledge makes us truthful. Knowledge purifies because it brings us in touch with reality. It brings us in touch with truth. I should surrender to Krishna. I should surrender to Krishna. If I do, he takes full shelter. How do we surrender to Krishna? We surrender to Krishna through Guru. There's no other way to surrender to Krishna. Because how do you know what to do? How do you know what Krishna wants you to do? The way that Krishna informs us what to do, that principle is Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva is the junction between us and Krishna. That knowledge which gives us knowledge of how to serve Krishna, that's Guru Tattva. The Guru comes to us out of Krishna's mercy, like we heard from Srila Prabhupada. When you hear Tattva, when you hear from the Guru, then, well, you know when you're hearing from the Guru. Guru Krishna Prasadi Poya. There's a non-difference between Guru and Krishna are also one. I'll give you a verse. Yasya Shakshad Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Prade Guru. The spiritual masters should be considered to be, this is Bhagavatam 7th canto, 15th chapter, text 26. The spiritual master should be considered to be directly the Supreme Lord because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Transcendental knowledge is Krishna. Guru gives it. Guru acts according to transcendental knowledge. He embodies transcendental knowledge by his words, actions, and deeds. Therefore, he's non-different from transcendental knowledge. Therefore, he's non-different from Krishna because transcendental knowledge is non-different from Krishna. Guru is the personality of servant to Godhead. He is the embodiment of transcendental knowledge. He is transcendental knowledge in person. Transcendental knowledge is non-different from Krishna. Guru Tattva is tricky because Guru is also a person. He's also a human being. So you can identify materially. Guru Govinda Maharaj would often emphasize this, that with Guru Tattva, it requires knowledge to appreciate Guru Tattva properly. Because Guru is a person, born in a family. He's got a personality, he does things. He looks like a normal person, like anyone else. But in thought, word, and deeds, he's acting according to the instructions of his spiritual master. He's acting according to transcendental knowledge. Everything he does is based on service to Krishna. He is an embodiment of Krishna's transcendental knowledge, instructions. Transcendental knowledge is non-different from Krishna. Guru is non-different from Krishna, therefore. But it doesn't mean he's Supreme Personality of Godhead, as in, he doesn't create all the material universes. He's not the source of unlimited Shaktis, but he is non-different from that person who does do all of those things. So Guru Tattva is very tricky. But without Guru, Ado Guru Ashrayam, Sad Dharma Prachar, Sarumarganugamanam. The first thing, Ado Guru Ashrayam. Because how do you do this? Okay, I know everything is Krishna, everything is Krishna. How do I surrender? The point of surrender is the lotus feet of the spiritual master. What specifically do I do to serve Krishna? How do I know that? How do I know what I should do? Not what you should do, or you should do, or anyone else should do. How do I know what I should do? That we get from Guru. Can't get anywhere else. It's at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So just as Yasha Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, Na Kuti Kutopi. The mercy of Krishna is there. Is it anywhere else? Na Kuti Kutopi. How can it not be anywhere else? Krishna's mercy is unlimited. Krishna's unlimited. Krishna manifests in so many ways and gives mercy in so many ways. Tulsi Devi gives mercy. Purnatai gives mercy. Radharani gives mercy. Krishna gives mercy. Vrindavan Dham gives mercy. Navadvip Dham gives mercy. The holy name gives mercy. Mahaprasadam gives mercy. But there's so many sources of mercy. How is it that Vishnu Chakrabarti Thakur says, Yasha Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada Na Kuti Kutopi. Na Kuti Kutopi means you don't get mercy anywhere else. How? Why? There's so many other sources of mercy. Because we have to surrender in our heart. We have to surrender to Krishna. This is what she's doing. She's surrendering to Krishna. She's surrendering. To take shelter of Krishna's internal potency, Daivi Prakriti Ashritaha. Right? Ashritaha means to take shelter. Mahatmanastu Manpata Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. Become out of the sway of the material energy. The sway of the material energy means the mind and the senses, and an I-centered existence. What do I want? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? It's all about me. It's all about me and my immediate sense gratification. It's just my life. It's all about me. The whole universe and the whole point of existence is about my life. That's prakriti. That's material energy. Ego. Self-centered ego. How do we come out of material energy and under the shadow of the spiritual energy? Well, what does Krishna want? What does Krishna want for me? What am I supposed to do to serve Krishna? That point is needed to access Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, it's not that there's no mercy anywhere else. We could say it's agyata sukriti. It's all good. There's no such thing as bad. It's all good. There's no tension. There's no problem. It's all good. It's actually all good in Krishna consciousness. It's all auspicious. There's no such thing as bad. There's nothing inauspicious to do with Krishna in any way. It's all good. At the same time, how do I get Krishna's mercy? How do I come out of this quagmire of self-centered existence? By surrender to Krishna. How do I surrender to Krishna? By following Krishna's instruction. I need to get Krishna's instructions in my life. I need to know what should I do. So Srila Prabhupada came before his guru. He was always remembering Krishna. He was already in the Gaudiya Vaishnava family, not associated with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Many Gaudiya Vaishnavas at that time in Bengal and Orissa and Assam and all of that whole area of India is full of lineages coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How he saw that here is my spiritual master. We heard Satsuri Maharaj describe it so nicely. Surged forth, came such great enthusiasm. That's the impact of when you meet Guru. Guru Krishna Prasadi point. So that's the point at which we can surrender. And outside of that, then we're floating our own boat, and that's why we take shelter of Krishna through his devotees, and the primary devotee that we take shelter of is the Guru. And he's a tattva. He's a person, but he's also a tattva. Guru tattva. Krishna's way of bringing us to his lotus feet. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Has anyone got any comments or questions? Mataji? Yeah. So the external spiritual master, Shastra says, is a representative of the super soul. So there's a Chaita Guru, and then the Guru is manifest outside. So Krishna reciprocates. We pray to our spiritual master. Krishna reciprocates. Because he is not different from Krishna. Yasha Shakshat Bhagavati, just read that. So this is Guru Tattva. Sakshat Hari, Sakshat Hari. So yes, he's a person. And we pray to the person, the spiritual master. Krishna reciprocates. Krishna may reciprocate directly through the spiritual master in person. Krishna will reciprocate he may reciprocate in other ways. That will all be the disciple will see that that's all the Guru's message. The disciple may receive instruction, may receive inspiration, may come in many different ways, may come for another devotee, may come for a spiritual master's godbrother, may come from anyone. It may come from someone you meet on the street. It may come in a dream. There could be unlimited ways that desire of the sadhaka is reciprocated with by Krishna. But the sadhaka will see, this is the mercy of my Guru. This is my Guru giving me this instruction. Yeah. And then as beginner devotees, we always look to verify, I have this inspiration. I have. So then we have Sangha, you know. And if the spiritual master is present, then we speak with the spiritual master. But there's no limit. Bhakti Churu Maharaj joined in 1970. Here's a good example of this principle. Bhakti Churu Maharaj joined in 1970, late 1976 or sometime in 1977. Srila Prabhupada, so towards the end of the time that Srila Prabhupada was with us, Prabhupada kept him with him, made him his secretary for India, kept him with him, wanted to train him and gave him lots of mercy and lots of directions. And Bhakti Churu Maharaj asked him, if the spiritual master is no longer present, how will the disciple get further enlightenment in one's eternal service to Krishna? How will the disciple know? How will the disciple receive knowledge about how to serve Krishna eternally in the spiritual world? Srila Prabhupada said, the spiritual master will give it. The spiritual master will come. There's no limit. So there's no restriction. Time and space are Krishna's Shakti. They are Krishna's energies. We have faith in the instructions of the spiritual master. That is the medium of surrender. It's pure faith in Krishna that is the platform for surrender. The point of surrender is the Guru. It's all Krishna's mercy. There's nothing mundane about it. There's nothing material about it. It's a transcendental system. It's a transcendental system, parampara. Yeah. So Krishna reciprocates through Guru. And Krishna's mercy comes, the sadhaka sees this is Guru's mercy. Guru's mercy and Krishna's mercy are the same thing. They're also not the same thing. The Guru Tattva is tricky. Yeah. Yeah. So it's good. It's good to remind ourselves of these things and try and endeavor to serve the Lord, serve our spiritual master's instructions. And here we're getting the inspiration to take shelter. There's no loss. There's no fear. If you take shelter, everything will work out. Krishna protects. Because it's all in Krishna's hands. In Antya-lila chapter 4, Sanatana Goswami comes to Lord Chaitanya, and Sanatana Goswami's got sores on his body. Lord Chaitanya is embracing him. He feels really bad. He thinks, I'm going to destroy this body under the wheels of the cart at Rath Yatra. Mahaprabhu is his guru. He understands what's going on. It's the same point. Krishna is aware of everything. He knows everything we're thinking, feeling, doing at all times and all places. He's super soul. So he knew what was in Sanatana's heart. But Mahaprabhu comes to him and says, that's not your body. It's mine. How is it that the body belongs to the Guru? Because when the disciple takes initiation, he is surrendering to Krishna through the Guru. The Guru is no longer the Guru. Krishna, therefore, from that time on, he takes hold of the disciple, takes hold of the devotee. That's his vow. That I take everything. So initiation, at the time of initiation, your karma is all held by Krishna. Krishna, we become Krishnas. The body is a manifestation of our previous material activities. When we surrender to Guru at the time of initiation, wholeheartedly, then Krishna takes all of that. It's no longer our karma. It's all held by Krishna. He uses it to purify us, to do whatever he sees fit in order to help us progress in devotional service. But a sadhaka is not a conditioned soul. The sadhaka is not the same as a conditioned soul because he's directly showered by Krishna. What is a conditioned soul? A conditioned soul is someone who's completely under the influence of Prakriti. The influence of Prakriti is still there, or the sadhaka who takes initiation from previous unlimited lifetimes of material activities in the material world. But when the sadhaka takes shelter of Krishna through the process of initiation, through Guru, then Krishna takes all of that. It's held by Krishna, not by material energy anymore. So the body becomes a sadhaka deha. It's the Guru's body. It's no longer my body. I'm supposed to use it in the Guru's service. It's a spiritual identity, an external spiritual identity. The body belongs to the Guru and is to be used in the Guru's service. But hold on a minute, I'm not this body. The whole philosophy is I'm not the body. You're saying that we're the body. We're not the body because the body is not ours. This body is Krishna's Shakti. It's not my Shakti. It's not mine. It belongs to Krishna. I've taken shelter of Krishna. Krishna has accepted me because the spiritual master has accepted me. I'm now engaged in Krishna's service. This body is to be engaged in his service. It's called the sadhaka deha. Jiva Goswami says that the present material body is the body to engage in the process of devotional service. It shouldn't be considered, the disciple shouldn't consider, oh, this is my body. The disciple should consider this is Krishna's energy, this is Guru's body to be used in Krishna's service, to be used in Guru's service. Jiva Goswami says it's called the sadhaka deha. Seva sadhaka rupena, siddha rupena chatrahi. Seva sadhaka rupena. This is called the sadhaka rupa. It's the body of a sadhaka to be used in service. Shouldn't be considered my body to be used in my sense gratification. Should be considered this body now belongs to the spiritual master. I'll use it in his service. It was produced from Prakriti, it's produced from the results of all my previous karma. Krishna's accepted me. Krishna's accepted you now, who you are. You've given yourself to Krishna's service. Krishna accepts that. He takes control of the devotee. He takes control. So Sanatana Goswami explains that Diksha is a process also. So do we fully surrender at the time of initiation? We should do. That motivation should be there. I now want to give my life to Krishna's service. That is anyabhilasita shunyam, that desire to engage in pure bhakti. Are we fully surrendered? Well, I'm certainly not. Am I engaged in sense gratification all the time? Yeah. But we are trying to engage in Krishna's service. We have that aspiration, that is our motivation. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to please my Guru. I'm doing this to please Krishna. That is the practice of pure devotion. It's a process of surrender. Through that process, the body becomes spiritualized. The body of the advanced devotee is not to be considered material. Actually, the body of any devotee should not be considered material. Nectar Instruction says that just as there's big waves in the Ganga, small waves in the Ganga, still it's all Ganga. So all of the devotees, all of the sadhakas are dear to Krishna, and they're engaged in the surrendering process. We shouldn't determine a devotee by their external identity. Can't determine a devotee by their external identity, whether they're born in a Brahmin family or a Malecha family, whatever their external situation is, because they're all under Krishna's shelter. They're all being directly cared for by Krishna. Krishna's arranging everything. Everything that's going on, it gets arranged by Krishna. Now, what happens if the devotee doesn't follow the spiritual master's instructions? What if the devotee is not? So then it's yetamam prapadyante, according to the reciprocation. As one surrenders, Krishna reciprocates. So yeah, it's a process, but we should know the tattva behind it. And ultimately, Krishna arranges those reactions. Krishna arranges that suffering. You can read 10th canto, 9th chapter. Prabhupada, can't remember the verse number. Prabhupada talks about two processes of purification: sadhana and suffering. Sadhana and suffering. The sadhaka becomes purified. What is purified? Purified is an abstract noun. What are we talking about when we say, oh, I want to become purified, I want purification? What is it? It's not an impersonal thing. It's an actual substantial thing. It's to engage in Krishna's service, to please Krishna. Purified state of existence is an action performed for Krishna's pleasure. That is a pure action. Now, if you do something now, if you chant japa to please Krishna, that is a pure action. The actual cleansing of the heart, that's done by Krishna, not by us. We don't purify ourselves. Krishna purifies the heart. That's Krishna's business. It's nothing to do with us. We shouldn't even desire it in pure bhakti. We should just desire to please Krishna. Kayena manasa buddhya, the Bhagavad Gita says that, yeah, the yogi always acts for purification. So the desire to become purified is favorable to bhakti. I want to become purified to please Krishna more. That's favorable. I want to become purified just so I don't suffer with this wretched mind and all these wretched desires that drag me here, there, and all forms of sense gratification activities that I know just cause suffering over and over and over again, but I just keep doing it. Rascal mind, rascal senses. But we desire to become purified so that we can be more pleasing to Krishna, so that I can have more attraction to Krishna, so that I can act in a way which will be more pleasing to Guru and Krishna. That's purification. So what we desire is important. And purification is it's now, and it's in Krishna's hands. Sadhaka Rupa. Yeah, so I just rambled on and on there. Thank you for listening. There's lots to say about Guru Tattva, and there's lots to say about personalism. This is all personalism. This body is Krishna's energy to be used in Krishna's service. If you're an initiated devotee, you have a sadhaka rupa. It's a spiritual identity. It's not eternal. It's the present body. It's gonna die and it's gonna go. But it's an identity that you can cultivate. I am the servant of my Guru. That is a spiritual identity. A material identity is I am a servant of my senses and mind and whatever I identify myself with. But a spiritual identity is I am a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the master of the Gopi. So sadhaka rup. So therefore, when the devotee looks after his body, it's done as a service. I should eat this because it's better for my health. It's better for my service. That's a spirit. That's a motivation connected to Krishna consciousness. We don't think that the body. We think of our own bodies. I think of my body as, yeah, we do think about it in a negative way in one sense, because we know it to be riddled. It's not purified, right? Because we're going through the process. It's riddled with material desires. It's riddled with impetus for mundane, because we identify with it as separate from Krishna. But when we identify with our body as an instrument in Krishna's service, that's the spiritual identification of the body. It's not a mundane identification. There's nothing mundane about it because it's directly connected to Krishna. Mundane things, prakriti, bina prakriti, means separated from Krishna. If it's connected to Krishna, it's not mundane, it's spiritual. So in one sense, we are the body. In one sense, the sadhakas are the body. Because the sadhaka deha is it's owned by Guru, owned by Krishna, to be engaged in Krishna's service. The surrendering process is just using it for that. And therefore, you hear in Shastra, spiritualized body. Therefore, the body of the advanced devotee is placed in samadhi. It's a fully purified body. It's all under the Daivi Prakriti. It's nothing to do with material energy. Material energy is a material body. Spiritual energy means Krishna directly. Spiritual energy means directly controlled by Krishna. Material energy means indirectly controlled. Krishna's allowing Prakriti to control it. So therefore, the verses in Gita about the appearance of the Lord, they also apply to the appearance of the eternal associates of Krishna, also apply to advanced sadhakas. When a sadhaka takes birth in Krishna's Bhoma Lila, that's all arranged by Krishna. That's not arranged by material energy. That's all arranged by Krishna. When a devotee, I was talking about sadhana and suffering. The suffering of a devotee is arranged by Krishna. It's arranged by Krishna. Prabhupada explains, one reason is because there's not enough time. But Krishna there's something due, Krishna makes it happen so for the devotee's benefit in a shorter period of time. Sometimes we see that with devotees as they come to the end of their time in this body, that they go through what externally looks like a lot of suffering. But they are experiencing lots of things in Krishna consciousness. They're grateful, they're going through purification. Sometimes Krishna arranges it like that. There's karma there, but it's all in Krishna's hands. We shouldn't see it as prakriti karma. When we talk about karma of a devotee, we shouldn't think that it's material energy controlling it. It's being done by Krishna. You see a devotee going through you shouldn't think, that's because they're in Maya. That's because the material energy is doing that. Krishna's controlling it. Krishna's directly in control of it. But what if then it comes out, what if someone's not a fully surrendered devotee? So then, yes, according to the degree that the devotee is surrendering, Krishna's reciprocating. But Krishna's hand is still there. That's completely different to a conditioned soul. Krishna's not involved with a conditioned soul. He just doesn't, it's not like he's not inimical towards them, but he's not getting involved. Samasaveshu bhuteshu. Not envious of them. He doesn't get involved. It's just their desires. According to the desire, they get something. According to the thing that they get the reaction. It's just Krishna's not involved. But with devotees, it's not the same. So as soon as you start criticizing devotees, Krishna doesn't like it. Because it's Krishna who's organizing all of that. Yeah. So this is another reason to not be critical. We're talking about giving up the critical mentality. All right, you're all very tolerant. I'm just rambling on and on. Thank you. Sorry. Keep you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol Gauranga.